I want to share about a fun game I've been playing for a really long time called Noticing. And I'll demonstrate, while I explain it. In the past, the way I would play the Noticing game would mean I would be like taking my dog for a walk, and I would really tuned into like, what does the air feel like on my skin? What does it smell like? What do the leaves look like? How colorful are the plants? And I just really tuned in to my external environment as much as I possibly can. If I felt myself getting lost in my head, I would tune back in. Wait a minute, what's happening right here? So that's how I began, a few minutes at a time. Now, one of the ways I love to play the Noticing game is I pay attention to my feelings. Like when I've had an experience that I have in some way deemed negative, if I take some time to move my body intentionally, things often untangle and I can see things in a fresh light. I can reframe them. And usually what I think is, oh my God, that was awesome. Like, why would I ever think that was a bummer experience? It was fucking awesome. Yes. So I'm always really thankful when I take that time to tune into that. So here's what happens. While I'm moving, sometimes 15 minutes is all I need, and sometimes an hour is necessary. This morning I went to ecstatic dance and danced my ass off for an hour and a half, and I sweat as much as I can because I needed to get that shit out. Anytime those negative feelings are coming up, I actually have multiple choices. One, I can go ahead and noodle it around in my head. And a lot of times, if I just keep asking myself, what is this feeling really about? What is this feeling really about? Particularly when it feels like it's a lot bigger than it really needs to be. Often a memory will come to mind and I'll go, oh, no wonder I feel like shit. It reminded me of that. That happened 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I can tune into my body and I can tune into my breath and start noticing the sensations in my body through doing a body scan. This sensation I'm having right now that led me to this memory that felt like shit. Oh, that's not what happened just now. Wait, I need to step back and really look at what actually happened and identify where am I writing a story. So, when I'm tuning into my body, often I feel pain. Genuinely, I feel pain. But when I stay with it and I just notice, breathe, clarity will just float up. What'll happen is that pain, whatever it is that I'm tightening and loosening and noticing, it'll ease as I just stay with it, and it'll release, the muscle itself will release, and then usually some clarity just suddenly pops into my mind and I'll go like, oh, I understand. The whole package of the whole idea just pops into my mind and go, oh, okay, cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my actual example. I'm gonna do my best to keep judgment out, interpretation. I'm just gonna say what actually happened. So, Friday night, platonic snuggle with a group of friends. I think there were about 10 of us. We watched a movie projected on the wall. We giggled a lot, just a really sweet, nourishing night. And then the man who was hosting it, he and I have been seeing each other for a while, long enough that we have a little bit of a routine. So when I spend the night, frequently, we do A, B, C, D, whatever. The details change, but there's a little bit of a routine to what we do. But this night, we didn't have the routine. What we did instead is we talked about silly things and we talked about sad things and, things that maybe were a little bit challenging. We just snuggled and enjoyed each other's company. Oh, that's a judgment. Let's take that back. I'm trying to stay with the facts. And then we went to sleep without the sexy time that we often have. And in the morning, we needed to be somewhere pretty quick, so we got about 15 minutes of a juicy snuggle, and then we went off and did our errand. After I dropped him off, I realized I was feeling really activated. I was feeling disappointed. I was kind of fixated on what didn't happen. And the response in my body felt way more intense than what was logical for what had actually happened. This is when I did kind of go into my head and do that part of the process. As I asked myself what I was feeling and what it was really about, I realized I had a story about what it meant for us not to have sex every single time we're together, or what it meant if I had to initiate when we did have some sexy time. There were stories going on. And as soon as I recognized that and named what I was actually feeling, the intensity started to lessen. And over the next hour, it felt like I was coming out of a fog. And it felt so good to recognize, I'm like, oh, that was something, that was an experience I had with my ex-husband, and it was way fucking worse, and it was not at all what happened this time. Totally different experience. It's just it had enough of that flavor that it could activate those feelings in my body. So once I kind of had that realization, I'm like, sweet, okay, I need to go really get some movement going. So I'm going to go to yoga class. So I bundled up, so it was a little bit cold, and I got my heart rate up. I moved fast enough that I was breathing kind of hard. And when I got to yoga class, I sat and I set the intention that I'm going to stay with my experience, my moment-to-moment experience. I'm going to stay with it. And I listened to the instructor's every word, and I breathed, and I tuned into what was happening in my body. And it didn't even take that long. I think it was 20 minutes in. I felt so clear and so happy and so like, I mean, that's what actually happened. Oh my God. Like, I was so, and I'll say in just a second what it was, but I was so excited that I actually took a break from yoga. I went into the bathroom and sent my lover a sweet little fun message and went back to yoga. So what really happened is we shared valuable time together. We laughed and we snuggled and we held space, and I learned things about him that I wouldn't have got to learn if we had been like on our regular routine, or if we'd gone ahead and had the sex. I would have missed that whole experience. And so rather than the disconnection that I thought had happened before I inquired and really checked into it, it was actually a deeply connecting experience. And so I'm really glad that I went back and thought that through. Like, is this really true? Is this feeling really accurate? Was this really about him? No, it was about my ex-husband. It had nothing to do with him. We had a fucking fantastic time. So I was really glad that I took that time for myself, and I moved my body, and I let it come up, and I let it come out. And it takes practice. And when I first started, it was only a couple of minutes at a time. I have a friend that reminds me to breathe, because when I can breathe, I can remember what works and what I can do to release that shit. Get that out. Let it go. So I'd like to hear how you turn into your experience on a regular basis. And if what just popped into your head is, I don't, then I invite you to maybe start looking for some moments throughout your day, here or there, where you can just tune in, take a breath, and see what it feels like in your body in that moment. I'd love to hear about it. I hope you have a radically pleasurable day. I know I will. Bye.